Hey there, welcome to the Schwowin's Nest. My name is Sandra and I'm so glad you're here. If you're new to my channel, I'd love it if you could hit that red button and stick around a while. Now let's get crafting. I just absolutely love working with wood, so I grabbed a couple of these wood rounds from someone who sells them on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape just to divide the top and the bottom so I can do them different colors. Black is my accent color, and now I'm using just a regular kitchen sponge to apply some brown wax. On the back of the board, I'm just using a water-based stain that I always have mixed up in this little bottle. And again, just the kitchen sponge, putting it all on, and then I'll wipe off the excess. I also did around the sides, so the top would be this brown color and the bottom would be the black. I used my Cricut Explore 3 to cut out a decal that I found on Creative Fabrica, and I have everything linked for you down in my description box. This vinyl is just white. It was a pack that I got from Amazon, and if I can find it, I'll link it for you as well. I know some of you don't have a Cricut machine, and I do get some comments occasionally that people are upset because I'm using it and not everyone has one. Well, I have one, so I'm going to use it, but you can duplicate this just by using stencils or just by printing it off on some tissue paper and gluing it on your project, or you can just freehand it. There's a bunch of different ways that you can create projects like this without using a Cricut. I did have to adjust how I was putting on the decal because I wanted the word lake and the oars to be right on the line where the two colors meet. And that's the beauty of having a decal. You can take it apart and put it however you want it on your project. It does not have to be exactly the way you cut it out. For the hanger, I'm using some of this thick rope. Some people call it nautical rope. I just call it rope. And I like to tie knots in both ends because that just makes it look a little bit more fun, I think, a little bit more whimsical. And what I'm going to do is just use my staple gun to staple right on top of the knot, and that will secure the hanger in place really well so I don't have to worry about it falling off. This was a really fun project, and I have another one that I did just in some different colors, and I'll show you those right now. This is the design I want to use as my reusable stencil. So I love it. I think it's so much fun. And this was something that I also found on Creative Fabrica. I did add the little lake design down at the bottom myself. I grouped it together and then welded it. What you need to understand is if you want to make a stencil using a Cricut and using a design like this that doesn't have stenciled letters. And what I mean by that is the P and the O and the A are the parts that you would normally weed out if you were doing a decal. But for a stencil, you need to have those pieces in there so they will create the letter shape. It's hard to explain, but hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So what I'm going to need to do is take a shape and then make the shape into a small piece that I can then cut out or slice out on the project. So we're going to head on over to the left side menu and we're going to click on the shapes button. Now I normally use just the square and that is usually just fine. So let's find the square. We're going to click on that and that's going to appear on our canvas. Now we have to make our shape a different size. So you're going to unlock it and then just squish it so it becomes sort of like the letter I. And we want it to be a little smaller too, so it just doesn't bump into any of the other letters. And once you have the size that you want, I want it to be kind of, not too large. You're going to want to lock it up again so you don't accidentally change the shape of it. So now I'm going to go over to the O, and I kind of try and figure out, where do I want my slice to be? Where do I want that open space? I am going to angle this just a little bit because this is a quirky font. So I thought, why not make my slice a little bit quirky? Now you're going to select both pieces. You're going to select your little square and the actual image, just like that. So both of them are selected. And then you'll see in the right-hand corner, the slice will appear. And you'll be able to click that, and then you'll have some extra little pieces that we now have to get rid of. So what I do is I just go over to my little pieces and I'll click on them and then delete them. Now I'll do the same thing for the letter P and the letter A. And each time I do this, I do have to grab another shape. But you know what? The more you do it, the easier it will get.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher. The night's young, it has just begun as she puts her hand in mine.
I use plastic poster board that I get at Michael's. I'm going to put it on a strong grip mat and then use my brayer to make sure that it's really stuck down well. With my Explore 3, I am able to switch out blades. So I like to use a deep cut blade, which is the black one. And I don't know if you'll be able to see the difference about how far out the blade sticks from the original one, but it's probably about 3 times the length. When I take this to my Cricut, I make sure to put the pressure on more because I want this to be nice and thick. You can leave it on default and maybe run it twice, but I just like to do the more pressure, and it usually works out quite well. Now I'm going to weed out the letters instead of the background right on the mat because that's just going to make it easier for me to pull off my stencil. When you start to pull off your stencil, you have to be very careful that you don't tear or pull too many of the pieces. Like, you've got to take your time, like I'm doing here. I'm using my weeder to just help me pull up the pieces that want to stick. And again, once you do this a couple of times, you'll get the hang of it and it'll be easy peasy. I'm using a board that I got from my local dollar store. It's just bamboo, but I'm going to make it look a little bit more rustic and vintage by using a water-based gray stain. And again, just using a kitchen sponge to apply it. Here's my stencil. I'm just going to use some little bits of washi tape to tape it down. And then I'm going to be using a really pretty blue color and my makeup sponge from the Dollar Tree to stencil this in. And I really like how it turned out. It's very subtle, but it looks really beautiful.
We're gonna be two hearts running wild. Now the morning.
To make the letters pop just a little bit, I'm using a white paint pen. You can also use a chalk paint marker if you have one. And I'm just going to outline the letters. And I think this just gave it that little extra touch. I made another one with sort of opposite colors. And here's how they turned out. At my local dollar store, I picked up 3 of these little rounds. They came in a pack for only $4, and I thought they would be perfect little risers. So I've got some natural wood beads, and I'm dunking them into my Weldbond glue, and I'm going to add that to the back, so that's just going to give them a little bit of height. I went back to my Cricut and I cut out some decals just in black, and I'm going to put them on the very bottom of the tray. This way you can still see the design even if you're going to be adding different things to it like pots or using it as a trinket tray or whatever you're going to be doing.
As the afternoon, we lay awake in bed. It laughs so loud as the hours pass. We're gonna do it all again. We wanna chase the night, wanna dance to the light.
I'm going to go over the natural wood with some stain, and this is just my water-based stain that I always have in my little bottle here. I'm going to use that again and just go over this one. And I'm just going to go right on top of the little fishes. Doesn't really matter. It's just going to dry up really nicely. I'm going to make sure that I do this here and also go around the edges a bit. I did a different color on each of these little trays, and I think they turned out super cute. I designed this little lake decal for these napkin holders. My dollar store carries them. They're bamboo and they're about $3.50 to $4 each. And so I grabbed a couple of them because I'm actually going to be taking all of these items up to my lake house where there is a general store, and I have my pieces in there for sale. So I thought I would do some more lake designs and just get ready for the summer and hope that some people want to add some of these cute pieces into their cabin or cottage or lake house. This is probably the easiest project that I'm doing today. I'm not doing anything to the bamboo napkin holder. I'm just literally going to be applying the decal on either side. And then, of course, at the end, I am going to spray seal all of these projects with a semi-gloss sealer. I love to repurpose items that aren't doing well. So I had these buckets with some floral designs on them. I did have them up at that store, but they weren't selling. So I decided to bring them home and give them a facelift. I gave them a few coats of chalk paint. It's just a white chalk paint brand. And now I just literally cut out another decal s'mores bucket with some marshmallows on some sticks. And I'm going to just be putting that on both of these buckets. This is the larger one, and then I have a smaller one. And I'm going to be adding some rope accents to them. Super easy, super quick to do, and they turned out really fun. I also had some other wood rounds from the Dollar Tree that I made over as well. I just added some peel and stick wallpaper and a Cricut decal with some oars. I hope you enjoyed all of my lake house projects today and got inspired to create some summer decor for your home or cottage or RV or camper. Thanks so much for spending some of your time with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.